What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Gamer Logic. This one doesn't feature any video of me, which is probably a good thing for most of you guys. But what I wanted to talk about today is one of my favorite portable systems, and it's actually my most favorite right now, and that is the PSP. I really don't think the PSP gets enough respect. It is a fantastic system. It has a variety of different options that you can use for it and utilize, such as video, music, you can get on the internet with it, and it also has a bunch of great games for it. And I remember my buddy Sean actually went out and got this right at launch, and he was kind of disappointed with it, and admittedly there wasn't very many good games for the system when it first launched. But a couple years later, there are some great games out for it and some great games coming out for it. As shown here is Street Fighter Alpha 3 Double Upper. This game is fantastic. It is a great port over to the PSP, moves fast, has tons of characters, and just looks great. A lot of people complain about the D-pad on the PSP, and it's true, it's not the best, but it's functional enough to pull off the super moves and combos, and the loading for this is fast. And again, there's just a variety of different options that you can play on this thing that makes it a lot of fun. So definitely a great game to pick up if you're a fighting fan. And moving on to yet another Capcom game, we have Mega Man Maverick Hunter X, which is a updated version of the original Mega Man X for the Super Nintendo. Mega Man X was a great game. It brought the series to a more serious tone and made X a little bit more emotionally attached. He really didn't know why he was put in the elemental fight that he was, and they introduced a lot of awesome game elements too, such as the ability to get armor unlocks. This version of it takes the original graphics and the music and upgrades them quite a bit, and almost has a pseudo 2D, 3D look to it. The armor upgrades that were in the original game are of course in this one, but one of the coolest features in this game is the ability to play as Vile, who you fought in the first stage as shown here in Mega Man X. So you get to play as him, and there's also a couple opening anime sequences that you can unlock and check out as well. So very, very cool game. If you're a fan of Mega Man X and you don't have a PSP, this is one game to pick up for it. Next up we have Darkstalkers, the Chaos Tower, which is kind of a mashup of all the Darkstalkers games. You can play any of the fighters in any certain Darkstalkers mode, from Darkstalkers, Vampire Savior, or Darkstalkers 3. This one has another variety of characters to it, and a couple of new battle modes, which make it pretty fun, even if you're a hardcore fan of the Darkstalkers series. And as you can see here, it's been a little while since I've played a Darkstalkers game, so I started out a little bit strong as Morrigan, but eventually get my butt kicked. But again, this is just another fun, portable fighting game that you can play and get a lot of enjoyment out of. Graphically, it's fast too, which is another thing I like about this thing, and controls are pretty responsive as well, even on the infamous PSP nub and control pad. You know what's funny about Darkstalkers is the first time I actually played it was Darkstalkers 3 for the PlayStation 1, and I didn't think too much of it. I really started getting into Darkstalkers after reading the comics and picking those up, and that kind of fueled my desire to start playing these again, and kind of became a big Darkstalkers fan. So lots of fun. So again, if you got a PSP and you don't have many games in your library and you like fighting games, this is another one to hunt down and find. I've seen this one as cheap as anywhere from $4.99 to $14.99 brand new, depending on where you're looking at it. GameStop, of course, has a good variety of PSP games, and since these games are hard to mess up and damage, you can relatively get them in good condition, which is another nice deal. Now, if you're thinking about getting a PSP, I would definitely get the PSP 3000 system, or if you can go back further, the 2000. I have a 2000 and a 3000. The PSP Go does not appeal to me, and it doesn't look like it appeals to many other people. The sales are pretty bad for it, and a lot of reviewers, like big name reviewers, are still getting games sent to them via disc, so it kind of defeats the purpose of PSP Go, and I bet you it won't last too long. moving on, this is another game. Of course, you guys know that I'm a big Castlevania fan, and this is a great collection of games as well as a new one, and this is Castlevania: The Dracula X Chronicles. They took Dracula X Rondo of Blood and updated it again in a pseudo 2D, 3D fashion, and it plays quite nice. The remix music is awesome, the graphics look good. My only complaint is the character graphics sometimes look a little weird, but they took a lot of the basis of the storyline and fixed it, which is pretty nice. So another great one that I highly recommend you play. And when I say collection about this, it is because it actually features Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is a great PlayStation game in its own right, and the original version of Rondo of Blood. So you get to play a ton of great Castlevania games, and this is another one that I don't think sold very well, which is very unfortunate. I usually see GameStop anytime they're doing their blowout discount deals on this game, offering it on the cheap. So another one to pick up. And finally, just by playing the demo, I know this is going to be one of the greatest PSP games ever released on the system, and that is Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. And this is just the demo I'm playing through, but I've been playing the demo, and the control is great. The camera control takes a little bit to get used to, maybe about 10 minutes, but once you have it, this game is very easy to control, very fun. I have played some of the other Metal Gear games on the PSP, including Metal Gear Acid, which I didn't care for at all, as well as Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. I didn't think much of Portable Ops, really. I really didn't think it was that fun. It really didn't introduce too much to me to the Metal Gear experience, but I didn't play it in depth. But generally, if a Metal Gear game can't grab me in the first 10 minutes of it, which is pretty rare, then I don't play through it. And this is the first PSP game that I really played in the Metal Gear franchise and thought it was great right from the get-go. So looking forward to seeing the full game of this. This is out, I believe, not next week, but the following week. You can actually get a limited edition Metal Gear Solid PSP. There's also a limited edition of the game itself, which I have reserved. Definitely looking forward to playing this. And it has some multiplayer elements in the demo as well, but I haven't had a chance to actually try them out. I have completed all the single-player portions of the demo, and again, really enjoyed it. So, very cool. There are a ton of other games that I really enjoy on the PSP that I haven't gotten to mention yet, like Assassin's Creed, Def Jam. Just a great library that the PSP has, and if you're kind of thinking about picking up a system, now is the time. But again, go for the PSP 3000, or if you can go for an older model, get that. Do not go for the PSP Go, because I have a feeling it's going to be discontinued pretty shortly, and yeah, I just don't think it's worth it, because everyone's still going the disc-based route. As a collector of games myself, I do not like digital copies of stuff very much unless it's a PC game. So that's all I have for now. Just kind of going through and talking about some of my favorite PSP games, and also kind of wanted to test out the capture card to see what it looks like after you pan and zoom in on this video, because PSP kind of outputs in a weird format on a DVD, but looks like it turned out decent for the most part. That's all, guys. Have a good weekend and take it easy.